Hello, guys and gals, and this is part 9 of our reading of Leaves of Gold, and we're going to go over what Leaves of Gold actually is. It's only fair. It says Leaves of Gold is an anthology of prayers, memorable phrases, inspirational verse, and prose from the best authors of the world, both ancient and modern, edited by Clyde Francis Lytle. Now, we're, of course, going to go over the copyright information, which should be on your screen right now. This is the revised edition, 12th printing. 1964, copyright 1938 by Evan S. Coslet, revised 1948 by Donald G. Remley, and copyright 1948 by A.C. and D.G. Remley. Published by the Coslet Publishing Company out of Williamsport, Pennsylvania, printed in the United States of America. Now, we will be starting section 9 here, and section 9 is entitled Courage. And I'm just going to check. Okay, we don't have very many pages here, so this one won't be quite as long as the other one. The other one did go kind of long, but I do kind of want to do all of these if I can in one sitting, but I know that some of these are super long. This is just a super short chapter. So anyway, let's get started. This one is called Sunshine. A Boston daily spoke one day thus. The day opened cloudy and cheerless, but about noon Philip Brooks came downtown, and then everything brightened up. Many Christians are just like Philip Brooks in this respect, and one such Christian is the author of In the Service of the King. Always he radiated joy and gladness. Early in the first chapter, he told how he deliberately made up his mind to do this. One day he was reading Gulliver's Tale, of the great inventor who had bit upon a device for extracting from cucumbers sunshine, which he then stored away in bottles to be used in the home on dark days to light the house. As he thought of this story, the deacon's mission became clear. He would be the agent of the great inventor, a dispenser of bottled sunshine. So he set out to make his people laugh. Counting the cost, he deliberately donned the motley with a persistence that even now he feels a pride in. He determined never to desist till he could say that he had had a laugh with every one of his people. Whatever else he may have left undone, the deacon knows that in those first days he taught to many a sad heart the long forgotten trick of laughter. Experience gives him courage to insist that when the sunshine is unbottled in the house of desolation, it discovers a heart of gold that was near to perishing in the shadow. That is by John T. Ferris. Next we have Opportunity. They do me wrong who say I come no more. When once I knock and fail to find you in. For every day I stand outside your door and bid you wake and rise to fight and win. Wail not for precious chances passed away. Weep not for golden ages on the wane. Each night I burn the records of the day. At sunrise, every soul is born again. Though deep in mire, wring not your hands and weep. I lend my arms to all who say I can. No shamefaced outcast ever sank so deep, but yet might rise and be again a man. That is by Walter Malone. Sorry, it was difficult to read that because all the writing was really small and in italics, which is difficult for me to read. This writing is a lot easier to read. Fortitude. True fortitude I take to be the quiet possession of a man's self and an undisturbed doing his duty, whatever evil besets or danger lies in his way. That is by Locke. The fortitude of a Christian consists in patience, not in enterprises which the poets call heroic, and which are commonly the effects of interest, pride, and worldly honor. That is by Dryden. Fortitude implies a firmness and strength of mind that enables us to do and suffer as we ought. It rises upon an opposition, and like a river swells the higher for having its course stopped. That is by Jeremy Collier. The conquest of fear. Courage consists not of hazarding without fear, but being resolutely minded in a just cause. The brave man is not he who feels no fear, for that were stupid and irrational, but he whose noble soul subdues its fear and bravely dares the danger nature shrinks from. That's by Ferold. Failure. There are always reasons for giving up. Arguments for self-pity are thick as blackberries. The world is crowded with thorns and cruelties, causes for tears. Courage is the divine unreason against which, as against a rock, the waves of disaster beat in vain. Say to yourself, I am unconquerable. I shall arrive in the center of creation, since not an enemy, but my friend. I shall arrive. What time? What circuit first? I ask not. In some time, his good time, I shall arrive. Let come what will, I shall never say I am beaten. I am not a negligible molecule, a mote in the sunbeam, a worm. I am a man, and so help me God, I shall play the man. Failure. There is no such word in all the bright lexicon of speech, unless you yourself have written it there. There is no such thing as failure except to those who accept and believe in failure. That is by Marden. Motive power. It is only through labor and prayerful effort, by grim energy and resolute courage, that we move on to better things. That is by Theodore Roosevelt. Ignorance. Fear is lack of faith. Lack of faith is ignorance. Fear can only be cured by vision. Give the world eyes, it will see. Give it ears, it will hear. Give it a right arm, it will act. Man needs time and room. Man needs soil, rain, and sunshine. Needs a chance. Open all your doors and windows. Let everything pass freely in and out and in. Even the evil. Let it pass out and in and out. No man hates the truth, but most men are afraid of the truth. Make the truth easier than a lie. Make the truth welcomer than its counterfeits. Then man will no longer be afraid. Being afraid is being ignorant. Being ignorant is being without faith. That is by Horace Trouble, I believe is how it's pronounced. Rejoice. Religion is not a funeral announcement. There are religious leaders who seem to be always saying, let us cry. They have gotten the wrong phrase, let us rejoice. When you begin to talk about faith and God, do not turn the corners of your mouth down. Face these matters as naturally, as joyously, as genuinely as you would face any other interest in life. That is by Mills. And this one is called Changed. Time was, I shrank from what was right, from fear of what was wrong. I would not brave the sacred fight, because the foe was strong. But now I cast that finer sense and sorer shame aside. Such dread of sin was indolence. Such aim at heaven was pride. That is by J.H. Newman. Letting out the reins. Every year I live, I am more convinced that the waste of life lies in the love we have not given, the powers we have not used, the selfish prudence that will risk nothing and which shirking pain misses happiness as well. No one ever yet was the poorer in the long run for having once in a lifetime let out all the length of all the reins, by Mary Cholmondeley. Taking chances. No man is worth his salt who is not ready at all times to risk his body, to risk his well-being, to risk his life in a great cause. That's by Theodore Roosevelt. And now we have What Counts. 'Tisn't life that matters, it's the courage you bring to it. And that's by Hugh Walpole, I believe. Impregnable. Courage does not consist in feeling no fear, but in conquering fear. He is the hero who, seeing the lion on either side, goes straight on because there his duty lies. As by Saturday Magazine. I hate to see things done by halves. If it be right, do it boldly. If it be wrong, leave it undone. That's by Gilpin. Courage consists not of hazarding without fear, but being resolutely minded in a just cause. That is by Plutarch. True courage is the result of reasoning. A brave mind is always impregnable. Resolution lies more in the head than in the veins, and a just sense of humor and of infamy, of duty and of religion will carry us farther than all the force of mechanism. That's by Jeremy Collier. Environment. It is possible to live very near to God under every conceivable environment, and what is possible is our highest duty. That is by William E. McLaren. Now we have risky business. It is a risk to have a husband, a risk to have a son, a risk to pour your confidence out to anyone, a risk to pick a daisy, for there is sure to be a cop, a risk to go on living, but a greater risk to stop. That is by Ruth Mason Rice. Discouragements. Pay as little attention to discouragements as possible. Plow ahead as a steamer does. Rough or smooth, rain or shine, to carry your cargo and make your port is the point. That is by Maltby Babcock. Keepers of the light. The keeper of the lighthouse does not launch any ships, it is true, but he keeps many a good ship from going to wreck. The light shines farther than the keeper can see, and brighter when he cannot see at all. Two things he has got to remember: to keep the light burning and never to get in between the light and the darkness. He is set to lighten. That is by John T. Ferris. Now we have steadfast hearts. Darkness enwrapped him, yet with steadfast heart he sought unfalteringly the highest light. His keen-eyed spirit failed not in the sight, which sees the seeing, loves the better part. Now we have unwitnessed. Perfect valor is to do unwitnessed what we should be capable of doing before all the world. That is by La Rochefoucauld. Protection. Though no friend, no man be with thee, fear nothing. Thy God is here. That is by Dinger. Underneath are the everlasting arms. What child of God was ever permitted to fall lower than God's underneath? That is by H. Gill. Be not faint-hearted in misfortune. When God causes a tree to be hewn down, he takes care that his birds can nestle on another. As by Anonymous. God accompanies thee, his child, fear not. On each spot that thou standeth is an angel of protection. Where thou art is thy God. Where thou God is, there is thy Savior. Next we have the bravest thing. The courage we desire and prize is not the courage to die decently, but to live manfully. That's by Carlyle. Resistance. Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not absence of fear. That's by Mark Twain. Lost talent. A great deal of talent is lost in the world for want of a little courage. Every day sends to their graves obscure men whose timidity prevented from making a first effort, who, if they could have been induced to begin, would in all probability have gone great lengths in the career of fame. The fact is that to do anything in the world worth doing, he must not stand back shivering and thinking of the cold and danger, but jump in and scramble through as well as we can. It will not do to be um, perpetually calculating risks and adjusting nice chances. It did very well before the flood, when a man would consult his friends upon an intended publication for 150 years, and live to see his success afterwards. But at present a man waits and doubts, and consults his brother and his particular friends, till one day he finds he is 60 years old, and that he has lost so much time in consulting cousins and friends, that he has no more time to follow their advice. That is by Sidney Smith. The debt side. The worst sorrow in life, the worst sorrows in life rather, are not in the losses and misfortunes, but its fears. That's by A.C. Benson. What to fear? Fear not that thy life shall come to an end, but rather fear that it shall never have a beginning. That is by J.H. Newman. Now we have something here called freedom. Many a boy has discovered that real freedom is never gained by breaking legitimate laws. Obedience to law is liberty, is the appropriate inscription over the massive entrance of a great courthouse in Cleveland. And it is wonderfully true. There is no real liberty in any other course. Just doing what you please and following that impulse is not true freedom. Obeying a sudden impulse to follow the primrose path usually starts or strengthens some bad habit which forges shackles on our characters and destroys by just so much our freedom. A lawless person is never free. He is a victim of his own unaccountable impulses, and soon soon a slave to his bad habits. That is by George Walter Fisk. The divine spark. Courage, an independent spark from heaven's bright throne, by which the soul stands raised triumphant high alone. That is by George Farquhar. Next we have hardship. Dr. Kane, finding a flower under the Humboldt Glacier, was more affected by it because it grew beneath the lip and cold bosom of the ice than he would have been by the most gorgeous garden bloom. So some single struggles, grace in the heart of one far removed from divine influences, may be dearer to God than a whole catalogue of virtues in the life of one more favored of heaven. As in nature, as in art, so in grace. It is rough treatment that gives souls as well as stones their luster. The more the diamond is cut, the brighter it sparkles, and in what seems hard dealing, there God has no end in view but to perfect his people. That is by Guthrie. And we are done. It looks like we are ready to move on to definitions when we get back. We've been reading from Leaves of Gold, and this was a section on courage. So, again, this book was edited by Clyde Francis Lytle. Leaves of Gold. And if you like this content, make sure you like and subscribe and ring the bell so you know when I upload. Also, if you want to support me in any way, if you want to join the Discord server, all that information will be in the description below. And as always, thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.